Welcome everybody. My name is Lisa Brierley, and this is my husband Scott Brierley, and this is episode 17 of Soulmates and Suitcases. And we have an amazing guest with us today. We're in Thailand, and he's coming to us all the way from Canada, west coast of Canada. Brian McGrath, I'll introduce you, and we'll get right into our conversation today. So, Brian is an addiction counselor, a recovery coach, and leadership coach with decades of experience helping individuals on their recovery journey. After spending 20 years as a carpenter, he felt called to support those struggling with addiction and homelessness, eventually becoming a leader in training recovery coaches across Canada. Brian is also the director of programs at the Recovery Focused organization, a dedicated husband of 34 years, amazing, proud father and grandfather, and an outdoor enthusiast who loves hiking and diving. Oh, you guys have that in common. We're excited to dive into his incredible journey today and the lessons he's learned and the impact he's making in the world of recovery. So welcome, Brian.
Thank you. Thanks for the invite.
Yes,
It's good to see you both.
thank you. Yeah, you as well. Good to meet you for the first time. And of course, Scott's
Yeah.
known you for several years.
I think 20 something anyways. 20.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
So we'll get started here.
Anyways, so Brian, as a leader in training and recovery coaches across Canada, what qualities do you believe make a great recovery coach, and how do you help them develop that?
I think the biggest quality of the biggest skill is learning how to listen.
Mm.
Right? Most listen and wanting to respond or give their input into something. Listening is listening to the person and what they're actually saying. And so a lot of things we teach is reflective listening. And so really hearing what the person's saying, reflecting back what they're hearing to make sure everybody's on point, that they are understanding, that it's not going down the road that the person you're coaching doesn't want to go down. I gotta say, one of the places I learned this was hospice. My wife ran hospice for years, and in hospice, of course, you have 3 months or less to live. So I used to have to go in and sit with people. And in there, I learned there's nothing I can do. Like they just want to talk. There's nothing you can do that's going to solve any problem. Right. And so literally, you just had to sit there and listen. That was probably one of the biggest skills I ever learned to do because people want to be heard. Right. They don't want to be heard the way you hear them. They want to be heard the way they're talking.
And they don't want to be
So
solved.
it's one of the biggest skills.
Yeah, exactly.
No, not at all.
Yeah.
Not at all. Yeah.
Yeah. That's one of
Yeah.
my biggest awarenesses. Yeah. To be heard.
Yeah.
It's a little
Exactly. Yeah.
to get, I've got better, but I still know I'll be sitting there and I'm listening to respond rather than listening to the words. And I almost need to close my eyes to be able to do that. And I know that's not appropriate.
Yeah, it is a hard skill for people. When I took it at the hospice, we actually had to sit knee to knee with someone. We both sat in a chair, and we had, I think it was 2 or 3 minutes to talk, and the other person wasn't allowed to say anything. And I was surprised at how many people couldn't hold their voice. They had to talk, especially when there's silence. People need to believe they need to fill the air, and you don't.
Yeah, it's
Even when I get coached.
I see we have a little bit of a delay. That's why we keep catching each other's voice the odd time. So, well, for those people who aren't watching the video and are listening to this, you may hear little gaps in our wait then because I don't want to talk over you, Brian.
No, that's all right.
And so I had one of my personal development classes that I was at as well, Brian. You talked about sitting for 3 minutes, kind of knee to knee with someone. We had to sit for 9 minutes, and it was like, wow, it really does stretch your ability to go, I can do this. Wow.
actually the course that we met
Oh,
at,
yeah.
we had buddies and they played a love song and I had to sit knee to knee with my buddy and just stare
A
right
man.
in his eyes. And I was actually bawling by the song was over because it was a pretty unreal like experience. It was cool.
But it is good to definitely learn that skill in so many ways and not feel pressured that you need to come up with a response.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. Yeah, as humans, we feel sometimes that we need to solve everybody's problem.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Nope.
that's not the case.
Not the case at all. So you work with many of your clients. So many of these people are maybe experiencing homelessness or something like that is happening with them. That what do you find working with this sort of sector of people is the most challenging and the most rewarding at the same time? And maybe you have some sort of a moment that was kind of pivotal to you.
Yeah, I think the most challenging, and yeah, I've worked with a lot of homeless, still do. I worked in the East End of Vancouver for 8 years. And again, the most challenging is, and it's the way people are brought up. So they do expect you to solve the problems, right? And you can't. And so they keep asking, well, what do I do? What do I do? And it's like, I don't know. Like, I know what I did for me, but I don't know what you need to do. You got to tell me. Mm-hmm. And it's because they've been told all their life what to do and how to do it. So, that's the way the brain's wired in them right now, is they feel they need to be told, and they feel they don't have a voice, which is terrible, because that's how we get to finally clean up our lives and get to live the life we want, is we find our voice. Trying to tell everybody where to go, and here's the path I'm going. Right?
Yeah.
Because we all clean up different ways, do different things. And the best thing is when people find their voice. I've seen that lots over the years. There's a couple guys, one guy in particular that I worked with for probably 6 years. I still see him once in a while now, but I worked with him 6 years out of the East End. It took him 4 to 5 years just to get out of the East End. And after that, he's finally held a job for over a year, first time in his life.
Nice.
Right. And the changes he's made and everything else. And what he said to me one time, he called me up and he said, he thanked me. He said, I was the only guy that ever just sat and listened to him and never judged him. Mm-hmm. And it was really nice to hear and heartbreaking at the same time. Right. So how many times he's been in and out of treatment centers, no one listened to him. And they kept kicking him out of treatment centers instead of trying to help him. So did you ever hear of Richard Rohr?
No.
So he's a priest, and he talks recovery all the time. He knows the 12 steps and all that. He's kind of a black sheep priest. He does lots of talks, but he talks about transaction and transformation. And I'll pick on treatment centers because I worked at them. And a transaction is someone will come into a treatment center, and if they go to class and do their chores, they'll get a roof over their head and food in their belly. So it's a transaction. They come in and they do the transaction, stay warm in that, especially in the wintertime, especially homelessness. Where the transformation is why I love coaching, because the transformation is inside. It's how does someone transform into the person they want to be and the life they want to live. And that's where coaching really comes in. We get to help them find what it is they're looking for.
Yeah, and that's the rewarding part, right? Amazing.
That's what I find funny about my story. I mean, you know a little bit of my story. However, it took me walking away from 12-step programs for quite a few years to be able to get some self-esteem back so I could slowly go back in. Like I go to meetings again today, but I can share about my trauma, I can share about my ADHD, and guess what? I'm making a difference with the guys that are built like me. And
Yeah.
it's like, I had a guy last night tell me that he was talking to his therapist and I'm the reason he went to his therapist. And that's what he said to me. And it was like, what? And it's like, it's cool. I get chills when I think about it because it's like I'm helping save, maybe not save lives, but helping guys get to the next level. And
You're
Yeah, it's big.
helping guys save lives.
Yeah,
Absolutely are.
exactly. Yeah, Scott kind of
Oh,
had that time to, I suppose, I don't know what you want to call it, grow yourself, learn yourself,
well, I
self-esteem.
got to the point where I was at the bottom so bad, clean and sober, that like I wanted to die. And I clawed my way out from there with trauma therapy and doing some coaching. And it's the coaching that really helped me the most. Guys like you that listened and gave me a little bit of feedback, but feedback so I could find my own answers.
Yeah.
absolutely.
Now
Because everybody has their,
yeah, go ahead.
no, I was just saying everybody has their own answer, and that's the truth.
That is definitely the truth. Yeah. I was not part of the AA or addictions world growing up. I really only became more exposed to that when I met Scott. So can you just tell me what are some of the biggest misconceptions about addiction and the recovery world?
A couple. One is abstinence leads to a good life. Abstinence is just abstinence. Doesn't mean anything.
Yeah.
Recovery is something totally different. Recovery is finding the life you want to live. Right. So everybody gets these. I mean, I've been in recovery for 26, 27 years. And the first number of years was like, yeah, I haven't used drugs or alcohol. And after a while, it's like, yeah, but I used a whole bunch of other shit. Right. I use stuff. And I started realizing that after years that we all use something. So abstinence isn't about it. It's not a badge to wear, right? It's let's help each other. Let's find the life we want to live, and let's empower each other to live them lives. Yeah, yeah. The abstinence thing just, yeah. I still struggle with that.
Yeah. Yeah, we discovering you can make other choices, whatever that is in life, right? Whether it's staying away from alcohol or it's staying away from chocolate bars or it's staying away from shopping, whatever, like you can make other choices. Yeah.
For sure.
So in your life, you juggle multiple roles, like you're a business owner, you're a program director, you're a counselor, you're a husband to a beautiful lady. And a father, and I've watched you on Facebook. You're an amazing grandfather. How do you balance it, your personal life with your professional life? Like,
I was at a leadership conference years ago, and like Colin Powell, Bono from U2, there are all these high profile people that spoke at it. The one that I got the most out of was this pastor out of Hawaii. No one really knew him, but he talked about balance. And he talked about it as it's like a teeter-totter, and in the middle is the fulcrum. And he said, everybody's running back and forth trying to keep this teeter-totter like balanced straight out. And he said, it's really hard to live life that way. He said, what he learned over time was the fulcrum, so the center, is actually you. And the way he explained it, he said at times, he said, Christmas comes up and he says, I want my family to have a really good Christmas. So I spend a bunch of money, rack up the credit card, and come January, I get the bill. And the teeter-totter starts going out of balance. So he says, now I got to work lots to bring back down the bills. And as I work lots, it starts bringing it down and I move back to balance, like the center again. And then I've worked so much, now I want to play because it's out. So I go over this way. So it's not about keeping balance as in, I got to do this, I got to do that. It's where do I belong today? Right. So I move where I belong. Maybe this week I'm going to have to work lots because there's lots going on at work. Next week, maybe I'm going to play with my grandkids a whole lot more because I missed them this week. So it's not so much running back and forth trying to keep it balanced as where do I belong today? And really knowing that. So when that guy really made that about, I get to move, right? I don't have to run back and forth. I move where I'm needed and what I have to do in that day or this week or this year also too. So that made so much sense to me. And that's what I really try to do today.
I love that description
Yeah.
because I was just listening to a book before we came on together. And it was about understanding that our day is often task driven, and the task driven brain is much different than the non-task driven brain, like having, sit by the pool or meditate or walk out in nature and how we tend to, if we're doing those non-task things, all of a sudden we're back to task. No trouble. Like we just go straight there. It's easy. So it is.
Yes.
I like that explanation. That was really good.
We were on a podcast with this lady this morning, and she was talking, because I know most of the 12-step world talks about the power outside and the great, and she was talking about us needing to find the power within. And I mean, the last
Yes.
few years, that's what I've found is the power within. And I know in the 12-step world, I say that to people and they're like, what? And it's like, yeah, I'm the power within, not, and it's made me get not made me, but I've been able to get a voice because of that.
Yeah.
And it's nice.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Yeah.
And that's the biggest thing is, especially in coaching, is again, empowering people.
Yeah. Yeah.
We all have the power.
Yeah, that's the one thing I think I realized a few years ago as well. We all have the power, but it's also to have the power with the action, like just literally opening your mouth and sharing or, showing something that's kind or like you said, listening, just listening. That's a big one. So we have the power. It's to be able to be confident enough to show it. That's another big step for a lot of people.
Oh,
Yeah.
absolutely. Yeah.
That also comes with experience. Like in the beginning, you were as comfortable as you are today, like 20 years ago when you started your path into being an addiction worker. Right? Like you don't, because as time you get more skills and you get developed. And it's the same thing as the change. In time, you get more skills and more development, and life just gets better if you get out of the way.
Yeah. Absolutely. And I like them analogies. Like you got the toolbox, you got the tools to use, and in time you learn how to use them well. First little while you're fumbling, the same ideas when I was a carpenter. I didn't know how to swing a hammer properly until someone showed me just use the wrist. You don't got to do all this other stuff. Just use the wrist, and it's so much easier. Same ideas in recovery. We start learning all these tools. Once we start using them more, we get better skilled at them, and life becomes easier.
Yeah, and my apologies for the notification, and to be able to share with other people who are on the recovery sort of road that, they might look at you like you've reached your plateau, you've got like this perfect, you're doing so great, this perfect life, and we've got to stop that delusion. Like all of us are constantly growing and learning.
Absolutely. I like one of the sayings is if we threw all our problems in the middle, I'd take my own back.
I like that one.
Yeah.
There you go.
And
So in your spare time, you enjoy hiking, diving, and how do these activities, and actually I believe you missed horseback riding in there.
oh yeah.
How do you do these contribute with your personal wellness and coaching, any outdoor exercises and recovery coaching?
I mean the coaching, I became a leadership coach long before recovery coach because recovery coaching wasn't in.
Yeah.
And so when it came in, I was already coaching long before it actually came into Canada, and that's how we ended up developing our own course. Because when I worked downtown the East End, I would take guys hiking for 5 days over the mountains, up through Whistler or up through Stein Valley and stuff like that. And I mean, science shows it too. When you're in nature, what the brain does, it changes the brain immensely. And so taking guys through the mountains and coaching them through there, like it's hard to explain because they open up, there's no office, so there's no power anywhere. Everybody's on the same level, doing the same thing. We're all camping and hiking and carrying our own food, pitching tents and going from place to place. So it really opens someone up, and it opens me up. Like, I love hiking, still love it. And that the diving's second on my list. Mainly the diving's mine, because when I dive, as you know, Scott, no one can talk to you.
Yeah.
No one can
it's
call you.
fantastic.
You just float. You just float and look at all the beautiful fish, and especially down in Mexico and all that stuff. And it's just so peaceful. And just, yeah, you just kind of float along. It's spiritual.
100%.
It really is. Yeah.
Yeah, you talked about the being out in nature, something I heard of today I never really thought of, but we often be out in nature with our rubber-soled shoes on, but to maybe test out being out there with your bare feet. It's added bonus.
I went on a hike last week with a friend of mine, and she's a real nature person, and it was pretty muddy and everything else, and we got walking. That's the first thing she did, is rolled up her pants, took off her boots and socks, and she hiked 15 kilometers in her bare feet.
Wow.
To feel everything. Yeah.
Yeah, a much more clear connection with the earth, I guess, or your connection.
Yeah.
So Brian, what's kind of next for you in the coaching world and the field of recovery coaching? What's going on in Canada, on the west coast of Canada?
Well, I mean, coaching is catching on, as we were talking earlier. It's getting big out here, and I know in Alberta, some back east, they started hiring coaches in hospitals. They started hiring them to work in centers along with the counselors and social workers and all that, to be part of the teams. In Calgary, they started hiring some coaches to work with the police, to go on car rides and stuff. So it's becoming quite well known, which is exciting for me, because again, coaching is about empowering the other person. I mean, I love counseling, I mean, don't get me wrong, but I know for coaching, it's more people connect with coaching, because we're not digging into people's past, we're empowering them. There is a time for counseling. I think one of the statistics I looked at years ago was, especially in recovery, it should be somewhere around 5 years, because someone doesn't have the coping skills to deal with the stuff that a lot of counselors bring up. And that's why a lot of people end up relapsing, is because they're digging up stuff and they don't have the coping skills yet. So the only coping skill I ever had was use, right? So it's getting the coping skills. And I think that's where coaching comes in, is we really concentrate on that stuff and getting the people to move forward with around their barriers, through the barriers, over the barriers, and they find out the strengths they have to do that. Like, we do that through appreciative inquiry, learning their strengths and how to use their strengths to take care of what they're dealing with right now. And so that's the most exciting thing for me, is working with organizations, training around this. There's one organization downtown, since they got coaching in, I've trained all their coaches. I go back, starting to go back once a month with them now to recap a lot of stuff and just keep them up on what's going on. They found that since they implemented coaching, the retention rate of people staying in there went up 27%.
That's good to hear.
So, yeah, that's a big number, like 27% that's huge.
Dude, that is huge.
So, yeah.
Because I think
so it's getting exciting.
The statistics of even people reaching out for help is only like 10% of the people that have problems.
Yeah.
Something like that. Like, it's pretty low compared
It's
to
small.
Yeah.
Are you personally seeing a lot of effects from even from COVID times? Like that wave of,
Oh yeah.
yeah,
COVID messed everybody up.
yeah.
It isolated everybody,
Yeah, then we
right?
realize.
So do you only train coaches in, like, do you have a classroom setting for coaches, or do you just train them at facilities?
No, I train online. So actually we have a course going on right now. And I train people show up for the course from BC to Newfoundland. We've had from every province. And this one right now we have from Toronto, Calgary, BC, and I think Winnipeg. People from all there. And then I do in classroom, like when organizations want training, then I go there.
Okay.
And online, as you said earlier, Lisa, like, because when it came online, we were already doing it online. So we didn't have to scramble. We already knew what we were doing. We set it up to be online. So actually when online hit, everybody kind of crashed and we kept going. And so even today, we've had people say, you can't learn this online. It's great online because we'll teach something, and every class you get put into a breakout room and get to practice what you just learned, and then come back and we discuss it. And so the nice thing with online is you go into a breakout room, it's just the two people coaching each other. Where when you're in a classroom, there's all this ambient noise and all the stuff going on, so it's hard to concentrate. Online, it's a lot of fun.
Yeah. Yeah, we took some courses, like coaching courses online too. We really appreciated the setup, the way it was run. So Brian, we're coming down to our last few minutes of our podcast. Amazing conversation we've had with you. So if people are sort of feeling they want to gravitate towards your business and yourself, where can they get a hold of you? What's the best way?
So our company name is Optimal Recovery Coaching Associates. So it's ORCA for short. And you can look at www.optimalrecovery.ca is how you can get a hold of us. Yeah. And I think if you go on Google, we're one of the first ones that pop up for
Perfect.
recovery coaching. Yeah.
Of course, we'll have all the information in the description, and you'll be able to get a hold of Brian, no problem. And we would like to thank you again for coming on to our episode, and in our tradition of, since we're in Thailand, of saying thank you to our guests who come on, we will say Kapun Ka. Thank you very much.
Captain Crap.
Thank you.